When I was a kid, I was messy. I often had clothes and belongings covering my bedroom floor, and I just was a chaotic mess. I was the kid in school that often had a messier desk than I should, and I just felt like I could never get on top of my stuff. And somehow also how I dealt with my stuff then translated to how I felt about myself. Like, if I can't get on top of my stuff, if my room is so messy, maybe something's wrong with me. And so I guess I'm just setting the stage for this video that I'm somebody who had a long history of difficulty parting with things, over collecting, and just not putting things away. You could argue maybe I shouldn't be the one talking about that topic then, but I actually think that I'm coming from a different place than a lot of people who are into organizing. I really have struggled with it. And I mean, this is on an automatic level from when I was a kid. But I think there are aspects of decluttering and minimalism that were just things no one ever taught you in school, no one ever talked about, and I always felt like my space was a mess. Now, over the last few years, I've worked really hard to minimize and to learn about decluttering and to do a lot of trial and error. And there's an approach to decluttering that I realize works so much better for me. And I thought I'd share it in case it can help you too. Now, I still have an ongoing struggle with belongings, but I think that shifting how I think about decluttering and eliminating things from my space has really empowered me to part with more and to feel better about the process. Like, now I feel like I almost like decluttering, which I never thought I would ever say. So today I want to share with you the key to that shift. So the overall key for me was, rather than thinking about what I needed to get rid of and going through each object and deciding whether or not to part with it, I started thinking about, what do I love and what do I want to bring into my future with me? Thinking about it as sort of like a curation of my future and thinking about what my lifestyle day to day actually should look like, it helped clarify which objects were really important to me. And then I also wasn't as focused on the negative. I wasn't just going through and focusing on the guilt as to why I should get rid of it, but these are the reasons why I'm tempted to keep it. Instead, I was just focused on the things I really loved. Now, I'm going to share in a few minutes an exercise with you that will help you put this into action. Like, how do I turn that concept of focus on what you love into active decluttering? I'll share that in a few, but I first want to talk about this concept just a little bit more, so stick around. So this idea of focusing on what you love and on what you want to bring into your future is a little bit of a different way of thinking, because I think ordinarily I would look through stuff and just be like, okay, I think I can get rid of that, I'll pull that out. I think I can get rid of that, I'll pull that out. And I would just be scanning the space for what to get rid of, which is an entirely different mindset than picking out the things that you're excited about. Because then also, by focusing on what you love, you might not feel so attached to those maybes, those things that you're debating on whether or not to keep. Let me give you a recent example for me. I was doing a shoe declutter and I was just wading through this pile of shoes, feeling a bit overwhelmed, and I came across this pair of mule shoes that I had really liked, had been excited to purchase, thought I would use all the time, but I also knew that I didn't use them much. I had used them like 2 or 3 times in the course of like a year and a half, because mules just aren't that comfortable for me. Somehow they always seem to slip off my foot. Maybe it's because I have especially small feet, but when I was considering decluttering them, I found all these reasons to keep them, like maybe they will be useful in some kind of professional situation in the future, or maybe they could kind of elevate an outfit that's really casual. And so eventually in that moment, I kind of tentatively decided to keep them, or at least put them in the maybe pile. A few minutes later, I came across a pair of my favorite shoes, one of those top tier shoes that I just love putting on, that I get lots of compliments on, but I use them all the time, and they can also be used in a variety of situations. And I realized in that moment, when I was just focusing on this pair of shoes that I loved, that in any situation I might wear those mules, I could easily just wear these instead and probably feel better wearing them. And somehow the act of focusing on what I was excited about in these other shoes made me just so disinterested in those meals that I was able to just declutter them and feel no sense of angst or discomfort. And there's a lot of research to support the idea that positive reinforcement is so much more powerful of a motivator than punishment. And it kind of translates to this, like if you're focusing on what you love and appreciating what you have that you really use and enjoy and want to bring into your future, rather than focusing on the things that you have a few problems with, that you're not excited about and you feel guilt around, it's going to be so much more of an enjoyable experience. The whole decluttering process, it's going to make it easier for you. It's going to make it faster. And over time, you might find yourself actually getting excited to declutter. So I want to give you a quick exercise that you can take out into your life and apply to try to focus on what you love. So what I want you to do is to find a category or a space that you want to declutter and just set a timer for 5 minutes, where you only have 5 minutes to pull out the things that you're excited about, that you want to bring with you into the future, things that bring you joy, or in Marie Kondo's words, sparks joy. And when the timer's up, you got to just drop everything and turn to what you've kept and just see, is this everything I actually need in that category? And you can decide after that if you don't have enough, if that's not going to be everything that you need in that category, maybe you pull out a few other things. But maybe you'll find as you look at that pile that you're actually satisfied by everything that's in it and that you don't really need much more. Even if you don't turn that into a real declutter, I think just taking the time to quickly pull out the things you love helps you realize, like, hey, I have an internal automatic sense of what excites me, what I want to bring into my future, and I have that gut reaction somewhere in me, and I can use that in future declutters to help guide me. Part of this is also in future declutters playing around with building a future as opposed to, again, decluttering. So for example, I've done declutters where I've built my wardrobe on my bed so that I see everything there. I can know how much I have of every subcategory and build a future, and then take the rest and put them in bins, either to donate or to store away for a bit of time before I declutter them. But in that style of decluttering, I just found it to be so much more fun and enjoyable, and I was able to build a wardrobe that really fit all of my needs and wants. So hopefully, if you're somebody with a past like me, maybe you're somebody who has struggled for years with decluttering and organization, and you feel like your stuff is just a bit chaotic. Hopefully, this concept can maybe help bridge that gap into your future and to living a more streamlined and simple life. Thanks so much for spending this little bit of time with me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.